I didn't expect much from that text. Just a polite, almost robotic request from Mom. Come by the house around 6. We want to talk. No details, no warmth, the kind of message that could either mean someone died or someone's engaged. Knowing my family, it was rarely about death and always about drama. When I pulled into the driveway of my own villa, a place I'd bought, paid for, and maintained alone, the porch lights were already on. That was my first sign something was off. Vera and Graham never used that front entrance unless they were performing for someone else. I stepped inside. No one hugged me. No one offered wine. Just two fake smiles waiting in the sitting room. "Rhiannon," Mom began, smoothing the hem of her perfectly pressed blouse. "You look tired, sweetheart." I didn't answer that. I sat. They sat. Silence stretched. Then she said it. "We've been thinking. The villa would be the perfect venue for Callista's wedding." My jaw didn't drop. My hands didn't twitch. I've had too many years to learn control. I just blinked. Slowly. Dad jumped in like a bad sales rep on commission. "It's just for a few months. You know how stressful weddings are these days, and the Wren family has a reputation to maintain." That stung more than I admitted. The Wren name had already swallowed mine the day Callista was born. Everything since had been about polishing her into something camera-ready. "You want me to move out?" I asked calmly. Mom chuckled like I'd missed the punchline. No, not like that. Think of it as contributing, a family gesture, a generous wedding gift." There it was, the pitch. "You always said you needed quiet," she added, reaching into her purse and pulling out a tarnished brass key. She placed it in my palm as if it were a pearl. "It's the old guest cottage near Sycamore Hill, quaint but charming." I'd seen that shack, mold on the walls, one working faucet, no insulation. It used to house the gardener during winters. It hadn't seen love since Clinton's first term. "You're serious," I said. She beamed. "You always wanted peace." And in that moment, something in me slipped, just slightly, like a book nudged off a shelf, not falling yet, but no longer steady. I stood, still holding the key. Dad exhaled like I'd accepted a proposal. "That's our girl." I didn't yell, didn't slam the door. I walked out and didn't say goodbye. Later that evening, I drove to the shack. It was worse than I remembered. One light bulb flickered. The floor creaked like it feared its own weight. The walls were warped from years of ignored rain. A rat scurried behind a rusted space heater and disappeared. I sat on the stained mattress, pulled out my phone, and took a single photo, wide angle, no filters. Then I texted it to Mom. "Quaint, huh?" She didn't reply, of course, but I wasn't done. 2 mornings after moving into the shack, I realized I'd left a box of tax records at the villa, my villa. So I drove back, no heads up, no warning, just me, a cold breeze, and the key that used to mean something. As I turned onto the driveway, I nearly hit the brakes. The sign, there, screwed neatly into the whitewashed gatepost, the Wren Estate, black serif font, brassy finish, like it had always belonged. My name wasn't anywhere. I parked further down the street, not out of fear but because I didn't want to give them the satisfaction of watching me react. The walkway was lined with white hydrangeas, soft music floated from inside. I'd chosen the stonework under these steps. I'd sealed the corners myself to avoid winter drafts. Now, it was a photo op. A truck backed into the yard as I walked around. 2 staffers unloaded boxes labeled Wren Wedding Collection, Guest Favors. One set it down and the lid flopped open. Gift bags, satin ribbon. Every bag printed with an illustration of the villa, my porch, my bay window, and the words, "Our forever begins here." I didn't flinch, just reached into my jacket, pulled out my phone, and started taking pictures. Wide angles, close-ups, branding details. No emotion, just evidence. Inside the open foyer, I could see a banner being raised near the staircase. It read, "Bryn Chase's Forever Home Celebration." I stepped back before anyone noticed me. I wasn't here to explain myself. I wasn't here to fight. Not yet. Driving back, I passed the same sycamore trees that framed the back trail. I'd walked those paths 1,000 times alone, back when peace meant possibility. The shack greeted me with a groan when I unlocked the door, the same musty damp, the same broken heater. I set my keys down on the rickety table and sat in the corner armchair, the one I'd moved from the villa years ago when I thought I could gift it a new life out here. Staring at the mold-stained ceiling, I thought about the porch tiles, the ones I imported from Georgia because the hardware store tiles felt too cheap. I remembered Vera's words when I first showed her the house. "It's fine, I guess. A bit much for one person." Now, it was just enough for a spectacle. "They didn't just take the house," I murmured. "They rewrote who built it." I pulled out my phone and opened Instagram. Callista's face filled the screen. She was glowing in a lace robe, standing at the villa's front steps. The caption? "Welcome to Bryn Chase's forever home." I didn't comment. I didn't scroll. I whispered, "Let's see how long forever lasts." The rain came down hard that night, the kind that makes everything feel smaller, like even the walls are leaning in to listen. I'd been sorting through storage bins I brought from the villa, things I never unpacked, maybe because I didn't think I'd need to. Tax returns, old journals, sealed envelopes with handwriting I hadn't looked at in years. I was surrounded by boxes stacked like headstones. My fingers froze when I pulled out a pale blue envelope with my name on it, not typed, written, in Dad's handwriting. My heart didn't race. It didn't have to. I already knew this wasn't recent. I sat on the edge of the warped floorboard, unfolded the letter, and let my eyes scan the words that hadn't been meant for me. Not then. Maybe not ever. I saw the pictures of the house. You did it. You really did it. I wish I'd said this to your face, but your mom thought praising you too much would make you drift further. I want you to know I'm proud of you. Always was. Even if I didn't say it. The date. 18 months after I closed on the villa. Which means he wrote it. He sealed it. Then never gave it to me. Or maybe he did, and someone else decided I didn't need to read it. It wasn't just silence. It was a choice to erase proof of any support I ever had. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I began filing. The act itself became my grounding. One folder labeled suppressed recognition, another manipulated legacy. I wasn't grieving. I was documenting, rebuilding the truth they tried to bury. A quote from somewhere surfaced in my head like breath underwater. "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." Maya Angelou. I mouthed it to myself, then whispered, "And mine is overdue." The rain hadn't let up by the time I made tea. No sugar, no honey, just heat. I sat on the floor with my laptop, scanning Callista's bridal shower photos. She'd just posted a new carousel, matching monogrammed robes, champagne flutes, and her wearing a gold locket that snapped me back to the night Grandma passed. That necklace wasn't a gift, it was a legacy. And it was supposed to be mine. I remember Grandma pressing it into my hand and whispering, "This is for you, for building things from nothing." She made me promise I wouldn't let it collect dust. I never wore it, not out of fear, but reverence. I wanted to wait for the right moment. Apparently, that moment came for Callista when she needed another prop. "She didn't just take the necklace," I muttered. "She wore my silence like jewelry." I clicked open a new folder, named it Asset Misappropriation, dragged screenshots in, added Dad's letter to the scan queue, then backed up everything to an external drive. I wasn't gathering memories anymore. I was gathering evidence. I was sipping lukewarm coffee, sorting through the files I'd backed up the night before, when an email popped up. The subject line read, "Final rehearsal timeline," sent by a planner named Destiny I'd never met. It had been forwarded to me, from my mother's email, no greeting, no explanation. Curious, I opened the attachment. There it was, Rhiannon Fielding, house manager, right below florals and catering logistics. Not sister, not property owner, just another cog in their machine. It wasn't just insulting, it was surgical, the kind of move that rewrites your name, then expects you to smile while they parade it around. I closed the laptop gently. I didn't curse, I didn't throw it. That would have given them too much credit. Instead, I reached for my old finance folder tucked beneath a loose floorboard. Inside was something I'd nearly forgotten, a backup credit card I'd once linked to my mom's account. It was supposed to be for emergencies. Last I checked, it hadn't been touched in years. I logged in. First charge, $200, catering deposit. Next, $1,950, floral design. Another, $600, custom signage. All within the last 3 weeks. All billed to me. They didn't just uninvite me. They used me. They've renamed the house, repurposed the love, and now rerouted my money, I said aloud. The words felt steadier than I expected. I pulled out a notebook and started cataloging every transaction, matching charges to Instagram posts, vendor announcements, even the calligraphy on Callista's engagement invites. The list was growing fast. No one can make you feel inferior without your consent. I heard the quote in Eleanor Roosevelt's voice. For the first time, I didn't just understand it. I lived it. I renamed the folder on my desktop, Restitution Plan. By mid-afternoon, I walked to the post office with a certified envelope addressed to Destiny Events. Inside was a formal property use warning, signed and notarized. I didn't CC my mother. I didn't loop in Callista. This wasn't a family discussion. This was legal territory now. The woman behind the counter asked if I wanted tracking. I smiled. Absolutely. As I stepped out, the wind had picked up. The sky hinted at rain. I didn't rush. My phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from Dad. Can we talk soon? This is getting complicated. I stared at the screen, then locked it. It's about to be, I whispered, folding the receipt into my coat. I stayed up that night, not out of rage. Those days were behind me. This was different. I sat at the small desk I'd built from crates and leftover plywood, lit by a crooked lamp with a flickering bulb. My laptop fan hummed against the silence. The shack creaked as wind scratched across the windows. It felt more like a war room than a home. The ownership records were already up on my screen. I had the deed, the title transfer, the time-stamped documents I'd signed when I purchased the villa alone, no cosigner, no family name. And then I found it. The scanned form Vera submitted to the county office. Transfer of ownership to the Wren Family Trust. My signature, but it wasn't mine. The loops were too perfect. My R didn't curve like that. I checked the metadata. It had been uploaded 6 weeks ago, 2 days after the family dinner where they handed me that rusty shack key and smiled like they were doing me a favor. I didn't cry. I clicked print, folded the papers. Signed a formal cease and desist, stapled it to a notarized affidavit affirming sole ownership. I had the receipts, all of them. The next morning, I didn't go to my parents. I went to the third-party legal courier and handed them the sealed envelope. It was addressed to Destiny Events, not to Vera or Callista. I wasn't arguing anymore. I was asserting. Inside that envelope was a letter that stated, "You are hereby notified that the use of the property known as the Wren Estate is unauthorized. Any further engagement may constitute fraud under North Carolina property law." Desmond Tutu once said, "Don't raise your voice. Improve your argument." I wasn't yelling, I was drafting verdicts. An hour later, Nadia, the planner, left me a voicemail. Her voice cracked like a windshield under pressure. "Rhiannon, I just got the letter. I thought you were part of the family trust. They told me you co-owned it. I'm so sorry. Please call me back." I didn't. I added the voicemail to a folder on my desktop labeled False Representation. Then came the family group chat. I'd muted it months ago, but the notifications lit up like a slot machine gone wild. Vera. What are you trying to prove? Callista. You're bitter. You've always been jealous of my life. I didn't reply. I took a screenshot, renamed it Exhibit B, and left the chat. It wasn't a statement. It was a boundary. By dawn, I walked the familiar gravel path to the nearest mailbox, envelope in hand. This one was addressed to the legal department of the Grand Vista venue. It contained everything: proof of forgery, pending claims, my contact information. As I dropped it in, I whispered, "The final RSVP. I won't be attending, but my attorney will." The wedding wasn't canceled yet, but it was no longer theirs to celebrate. 2 days after the courier dropped my legal notice at the planner's office, my phone didn't stop vibrating. I ignored the first 3 calls. Then the texts came, one from Dad, one from Vera, Then a block of passive-aggressive paragraphs from Callista that read like she'd copied them from some bridal forum. Dad's message tried to sound rational. Let's not escalate this. We can fix it quietly. You're making this harder than it needs to be. I typed one line and hit send. Then you shouldn't have forged my name. That was the last message I sent to anyone in that family. I went about my day. Took a walk to the coffee shop near the edge of town, answered emails, reviewed invoices. But by early evening, a coworker pinged me on Slack. Is this your sister? She included a link. I clicked it. There was Callista, in full hair and makeup, holding a mimosa and ranting into her phone's camera. My sister's not well. She's always been jealous of me, even when we were kids. This whole drama, it's not about a house. It's about control. She needs help. Over 2,000 people watching live. Comment after comment chiming in, some defending her, some not. But that wasn't the point. She went public. They want an audience? I said to no one. Let them have one. That night, I uploaded every file into my attorney's shared folder. Ownership records, the fake deed, the screenshots, voicemails, even the clip of Callista's live stream. My lawyer replied 10 minutes later. This isn't civil anymore, she wrote. This is felony fraud. She explained that the forged transfer and monetary use now fell into prosecutable territory, grand larceny, wire fraud, real estate misrepresentation. And just like that, it stopped being about hurt feelings or family dysfunction. This was about law. Later, Vera sent a mass email to our extended relatives claiming that I was withholding family property out of spite and that the villa had always been a shared home. She even included a Bible verse about forgiveness. I forwarded it to my legal team and added it to a folder labeled Public Narrative Manipulation. By morning, a local blogger had picked up the story. Nothing viral yet, but enough for people at the grocery store to glance a second longer, for the bank teller to ask, "You doing okay?" I nodded. Better than ever. Around noon, a call came in from a blocked number. I let it go to voicemail. Vera's voice was calm, measured, too calm. We need to speak face to face. You're turning into someone I don't recognize. I didn't bother saving it. I pressed delete. I wasn't becoming someone new. I was becoming someone they could no longer control. The injunction was granted on a Thursday morning. I got the notification just after I rinsed out my coffee mug. The subject line read, "Court approval, immediate venue suspension." I didn't smile, but I let out a slow breath I hadn't realized I'd been holding for weeks. By noon, my inbox filled with CC'd messages. The florist canceled. Too much legal risk. The band demanded full cash up front, or they were out. The caterer flagged their invoice on hold. But Callista, she was still online, posting countdown selfies, drinking rosé in a white satin robe like nothing was happening. One day until I say, "I do" to my forever, she wrote under a picture with fairy lights behind her, and my villa's front porch blurred just right. The caption didn't age well. That evening, during the rehearsal dinner, it happened. While she was raising her glass for a toast, someone from the venue staff approached her discreetly, paper in hand. I wasn't there, but a mutual cousin sent me a video. Callista's smile froze. She read. Her face turned pink, then red. She slammed the paper on the table and yelled, "This is sabotage!" Someone tried to calm her. She stood up. "My sister is jealous. She always has been. She couldn't stand that it was my turn, that I get love, that people actually want to show up for me." Gasps. Shuffling chairs. Awkward glances. "She's mentally unstable," Callista hissed. "You all know it. You've seen it." The video cut there. Back at the shack, I watched it once. Then I watched something else. A video posted by Nadia, the wedding planner. Her hair tied up, no makeup, eyes red. It had over 10,000 views in under an hour. "I owe everyone an apology," she began. "I was misled. I was told the venue was family-owned, fully approved. I now know that was a lie. The real owner, Rhiannon, had no idea her house was being used. I deeply regret trusting verbal assurances over proper documentation." Comments poured in. "She stole her daughter's house? Callista Wren is a scammer. Imagine treating your own blood like a vendor. By midnight, the video had passed 50,000 views. I sat on the floor, tea in hand, watching the screen light up. No joy, no gloating, just release. Revenge is not about destruction, I whispered. It's about revealing what was already rotten. They'd wanted a performance. They got one, just not the part they cast me in. At 2 a.m., my phone buzzed once. One word. From Vera. Please. I stared at it. Then I locked the screen and set it face down. Now they want my forgiveness. But they still don't want the truth. The headline broke just after sunrise. I hadn't checked the news intentionally, but a coworker sent me the link with no caption. Just the link. Bride's family accused of forgery, venue fraud. The article didn't mention names in the first paragraph, but anyone in Asheville with a Facebook account already knew. It detailed the injunction, the suspended wedding, the planner's viral apology, and a quote from the courthouse confirming, "The villa legally belonged to me, Rhiannon Fielding." I didn't say anything to the press, not a statement, not a quote. My silence had been their tool for years. Now it was mine. "Sometimes you win by saying nothing at all," I muttered while folding laundry. I hadn't heard from Vera or Callista since the meltdown. That is, until I uploaded the final audio file. It was short, clipped from a voicemail 2 months ago. Vera, unaware she was being recorded, said plainly, "She wouldn't have given it willingly. But we needed the house more than she did." That single sentence did what weeks of litigation couldn't. It destroyed the illusion. Callista's followers turned. Influencer tags dropped. Comments flooded her page. "So you lied? Stole from your own sister and called it love? This is low, even for a Wren." I didn't engage. I didn't need to. The last time I returned to the villa was on a Wednesday. No one was there. The planners had cleared out. No lace, no lights, no music. Just walls and air that once held dreams. I walked through it without touching anything. The kitchen where I used to bake alone after 12-hour workdays. The back room where I built furniture on weekends because I couldn't afford new. On the dining table, I left a single folder. Inside, a copy of the deed. On top, one line in ink. "You can decorate it all you want. You never built it." I didn't slam the door. I didn't turn back. I simply walked out and locked it behind me. Weeks passed. I sold what I didn't want to carry. Opened a new bank account in Maine. Got a small apartment near the water. Changed my number. Deleted every contact with my last name in it. For once, I didn't feel like I was leaving anything behind, just clearing space for air. "They didn't break me," I wrote in my new journal. "They revealed me." On the train north, I sat by the window, wind brushing my face, my knees tucked under a blanket, my eyes watching pine trees blur by like memories I no longer needed to revisit. Somewhere near Portland, the conductor handed me a small envelope. "No return address," he said. It had been forwarded from the villa's mailbox. Inside was my grandmother's necklace. No note. Just the weight of everything they'd taken, quietly returned. But not everything returned still belongs.